In today's class, you will learn how to stabilize a neutral spine. What does it mean? When you come out of the fetal position, over the next month and years, you will develop a natural curve in your lumbar spine. Our daily activities, like sitting, cycling, surfing, I don't know, I never surf, but can lead to a flattening of the low back, which can create all kinds of issues for the low back. So we want to find your natural curve of your low back again, because that's how you are optimally aligned and your nerves won't be irritated or pinched on their way down to their legs. You will need a block and just your mat, that's all. So it's very refined actions. So it's very important to really listen to the feedback of your body as you go through these actions, since they are very, very subtle. So if in the beginning you're not really quite getting it yet, be patient, keep repeating so that you can kind of decode the feedback of your body to learn what you need to be doing or how much of what you need to be doing. So put the block in between your thighs, and then your feet kind of the width will be determined by the width of the block. So just bring them close enough together so that you can put some pressure onto the block. That's the first action. So hands onto your hips. First, breathe through your nose. With your next inhalation, press your legs very strongly into the block, and it's okay to overdo it a little bit in the beginning so you can really feel like, I think there is some tone in my inner thighs now as I do this action, because that's what it does. Just squeeze the block together, first action. And then release for a moment. See, shape doesn't change much, except now you just relaxed your muscles. Good, so now comes the next action. I'll just show it from the side. So I will refer to the place where your femur or your thigh bone meets your hip socket as the head of the femur. It's an actual term, I'm not making it up. So again, your feet are planted firmly into the ground. You can put a tiny bend into your knees and then squeeze the block together so that your inner thigh is firm. And then move the top of the femur to the space behind you. And you will notice when you move your femur bones back to the space behind you, you will increase the curve of your low back. That happens to all of us, and we want that. Good, release one more time, we will repeat. First, bend your knees a little bit, squeeze your block together a lot, and then move the head of the femurs back in space. When your knees are bent, you will prevent from going way too far. That's why we'll do this, little bend in the knee. You can only go just enough. That's the little trick. So now the thighs are back and you're squeezing the block together, and hopefully you're still breathing. All right, release. Now comes the tricky part. The term is tuck your tailbone while keeping enough curve in your low back. So here we go again. Place your feet strongly into the ground. Squeeze your block together very strongly. Move the head of the femur bone to the space behind you with bent knees. Yeah, so again, it acts like a little break. You can't go too far. So now you try to keep your thighs in this position. Don't let them come forward. And then move the tip of your tailbone towards your front body. So here I show it. I'm scooping my tailbone. Tip of the tailbone comes forward. And then you engage the muscles of your low belly. Release. I'm going to show it wrong quickly, so don't do that. Squeezing the block, moving the thighs back, and then scooping the tailbone. So now we lost everything we created prior to this. and you won't have the effect that we are looking for, because that will just flatten your low back and bring compression in it. So one more time, putting it all together, hands to your hips, breathe. Tiny bend into your knees, and then push the block together. This will engage your inner thighs. With the toned inner thighs, move the block to the space behind you. Head of the femurs, move back until they can't go anymore. Then you stop this, and then you've visualized the very tip of your tailbone, and move the tip of the tailbone forward until you feel a little bit of length, but not flattening in your low back. Low belly rises. Now you can straighten your legs. And then you just stand here. Use the inhale to squeeze the block, and use the exhale to scoop your tailbone without letting your thighs come forward. And release. Feel free to repeat this numerous times. It's again, there's not much glorious movement happening here, but the glorious movement or action happens around your low back as you stabilize the deep, deep core muscles. Wonderful to prevent low back pain or even heal if there is some already present. Next, let's go down to the floor. So now let's lay on your back. We'll do the exact same actions. It's just going to feel slightly different because you're laying on the ground, and one leg will be in a different position, and you have the feedback from the floor, which is a good thing. All right, so as you lay here, bend your knees at first. You can push your elbows into the ground, and just notice that you can curve your lumbar spine a lot, and you can make it all the way flat. If there are current issues with herniated discs, be careful with this exploration. Don't move through any pain. Always stay right in front of it. All right, so now that you're here, you can push now your elbows stronger into the floor and increase the curve of your low back a little bit more, and then straighten out your left leg so that you can press the entire left leg into the floor. So you press your heel down, you press the top of the knee down, and then, as I like to say, visualize a baby elephant sitting on top of your thigh. Seems like the right weight because you need some weight to press the thigh down. Recognize the seesaw action. When you press your thigh down, the low back will naturally lift with more ease. Rather than when my thigh is up and the leg is just hanging here, it's easy to create a more flat back. Heel down, top of the knee, thigh down. So now again, you have this beautiful curve in your low back, but it is too much. Now bring your attention back towards the tip of your tailbone and move your tailbone up towards the ceiling until you create length in your low back. You know that you go too much because you can't keep the thigh anymore on the floor. So this is how you use the feedback of the ground. Thigh presses down, tailbone moves up, and fire up all the muscles of your core to create good stability in the natural curve, your neutral spine. Then you just hold it here and breathe. Every time you inhale, press the thigh more down. Every time you exhale, move the tip of your tailbone towards the ceiling. You can even have a little bit of a pulse, or just remind yourself to do these actions with the alternating breath. And release. Other side. I'm going to turn around so you can see the more important leg. You don't have to. All right. Get ready. So here we'll exaggerate the curve a little bit at first by pushing the elbows into the floor. Big curve in the lumbar spine so that you can get the whole thigh, the whole leg connected to the ground. And then you can kind of let the shoulders settle again. Press your heel down, press the top of the knee down. Let the curve arise, and then visualize the very end of your spine, so the tip of your tailbone, and move it up towards the sky. And you will feel the relationship. The more you move your tailbone up, the harder it will be to keep the thigh down. And you know that you need to stop moving your tailbone higher up towards the sky when you can't keep the thigh on the ground anymore. Yeah, so this is very helpful to do this on the floor. Knee down, thigh down, scoop your tailbone. Draw the belly button in, firm all the muscles between your ribs and your hips. It's best done on an exhale. So therefore, again, on an inhale, you remind yourself to root the thigh down, and on an exhale, to move the tip of your tailbone up. And release. Bend your knees, let your knees rest against each other. And just let your hands come onto your low belly here for a brief moment. And then one that also feels good, you can use the heels of your hands. Press them against the hip creases. Bring your feet into a parallel position, your knees into a hip width apart position, and just push a little bit. So when you press your hips in this direction and then extend through the crown of your head in the other direction, you just create a little bit of space between your vertebrae. Yeah, so since the decrease of the space between your vertebrae is mostly the cause of lots of the back pains we have to deal with, we want to create space while having a neutral spine, a neutral curve. All right, next one. This one you get to come to all fours. I'm going to turn this way, so we'll go with the right leg first. So we'll combine now what you learned in the first and in the second side, but now you're facing the ground. So it will feel once again different. So your hands are right underneath your wrist. If you have stiff wrist and it just doesn't feel so good, move them slightly out in front and your hands slightly out. It just decreases the stress on the wrist if this is too much. Yeah, so because it's about the back and not about the wrist in this position. So feet are hip width apart. Visualize a block in between your inner thighs and press your thighs against your imaginary block to tone your inner thigh muscles. Try to maintain the tone even as you now extend your left leg towards the back of the room. So a little caution here. Often this wants to look like this. The outer hip wants to lift higher and the foot wants to turn out. So you can check, look, that all 5 toenails are facing straight down. This is how you know that your hips are square. Let's go back. You hug your legs towards the midline like there's a block in between your thighs, and then move the head of the femur up towards the ceiling. Now bring your attention back to the tip of your tailbone. Without moving your back leg, point your tailbone down towards the ground and lift your low belly. The tiny moves, yeah? So it's really, this is not about moving, this is about stabilization. So when you inhale, lift your toned right inner thigh up higher. Left inner thigh. And when you exhale, point your tailbone down and lift your low belly away from the floor. Lower the knee down. And then for a moment, you can move your knees a little further apart and very carefully shift your weight back. You can come to your forearms, Even let your head rest on your forehead for a moment. You can build a fist or like a little pillow with your both fists so your forehead can rest on something. And let's do the other side. Again, I'll turn around. You don't have to. Here we go. Healthy, happy low back. Curl your toes under. Place an imaginary block in between your inner thighs and squeeze that block together like you mean it. Very strong. Then extend your right leg to the back of the room. Check. All 5 toenails are down. Got it. Keep that. And then here you want to concentrate on moving the head of the femur back, not just the foot. Moving the femur bone up towards the sky. Keep that and use your next exhale to point your tailbone to the ground and lift your low belly. And then you stay here and emphasize particular actions with each breath. So the inhale, remind yourself to tone your inner thighs and lift the femur. And when you exhale, you bring length and stability into your spine by scooping the tailbone and lifting the low belly. So from the outside, you probably see very little to no movement, but I do focus on different actions with my alternating breath. And release. Knees come down. Move your knees slightly apart. Shift your weight back. Make a little pillow with your fists and let your head rest on it. All right. So this in itself could be a practice. Just doing these, repeating each one 5 times and then rest. Or you can start to incorporate them into other practices as a warm-up or as a wind down. Both are fine. Just make sure, especially if you have low back issues, to do these poses, I would say at least every other day. So therefore, again, and even if you just do each pose once or twice, back to back, you don't have to roll out a yoga mat. It's fine on the carpet. Just make sure you do them on a regular basis and you will feel good results. All right, till next time. Namaste.